Okay, so as we all know, the last webinar that we did was about resolutions, and of course, resolutions are only as successful. It's not, as we make them. So it's not enough to say, I want to lose 20 pounds this year. You actually have to do stuff to make that happen. But holding yourself accountable, especially right now, is pretty difficult for most people. So what we are going to talk about today is other tools that we can use for accountability. We'll talk a little bit about the partner challenge. We'll talk a little bit about some other tools, some online tools, and kind of really just why it's so important to really work on being accountable. So anyway, so to recap, we've already talked about this, but from our resolution making workshop, 80% of resolutions will fail by mid-February. That's not exactly a high rate of success. And so that means within the next couple of weeks, if our resolutions haven't already failed, they probably will. So, at that point, it's kind of like, why am I bothering to make a resolution if I'm destined to fail? Well, that's why we find ways to keep ourselves accountable. Also, to recap, these are kind of the usual suspects of things for which people want to be held accountable. Anything to do with like nutrition and fitness, weight loss is a big one, getting in shape or using a gym as much as we can right now, healthier, clean eating, financial, fiscal responsibility, sleep issues, getting organized, spiritual growth, meditation, mindfulness, or learning a new skill, maybe learning a new language, whatever it may be. And about 2/3 of most people's resolutions are repeats of last year. We are creatures of habit, and we tend to always we're creatures of habit, but we're also constant works in progress. We will never be perfect. It's good to always have something to strive for. But that kind of means that quite often we find ourselves trying to revamp the same goal over and over again, which is fine. But the point is to see incremental changes, improvements, so that when we set similar goals, we are going above and beyond where we were the last year. So anyway, so why is accountability important? First and foremost, it does teach us to value ourselves and to value our own time and our own efforts and our work and our accomplishments. We are our own worst critics. The vast majority of us are far more critical of ourselves than other people are. And as such, many of us tend to underplay or just completely ignore things that we do right. So if you tell yourself you want to, I don't want to always use the weight gaining example, but it's an easy one because it's very numbers driven. But so say you tell yourself, I want to lose 10 pounds in the first 2 months of 2021, and then you lose 6 pounds, not 10 pounds. You are more likely to berate yourself for only losing 6 pounds instead of 10, as opposed to saying, that's awesome, I'm on my way to my goal. So accountability, the point of it is not just to reach those goals, but also to really value the steps that you take along the way and your accomplishments along the way. So, these various accountability tools and ways of keeping ourselves accountable help increase our skill levels and our efficiency and our ability to accomplish our goals, and also our confidence, which right now, especially with COVID and the kind of mental health crisis that is pretty prevalent around the country and the world, I think we could all use a little confidence boost. So reaching any kind of milestone on the road to your goal is going to help do that and boost that confidence. You're taking ownership of your goal. You're taking ownership of your progress. You're taking ownership of your life. And quite often, once especially if you're really floundering, just in general, as a lot of people are, I think right now, myself included, sometimes, achieving accountability in one area of your life. It's a trickle-down effect. It's like, well, actually, it's really more like a snowball effect, because once you find that you are able to be accountable in one area, you're more likely to build upon that success in other areas. And, before you know it, you might be reaching all sorts of goals that you had kind of forgotten about. So Commitment versus accountability. It's one thing to commit to doing something. It's another thing to be held accountable to that. So we can all say on January 1, I am going to I'm going to redo my life. I'm setting the reset button. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to be financially responsible. I'm going to set aside this money every month. It's awesome to make that commitment, but it's word actions speak louder than words in this sense. So you want to make sure that you are also making, in addition to making that strong commitment, you're also holding yourself and others around you accountable to actually making those happen. And again, like I was talking about, we are our own worst critics. So, let's try to make just tell ourselves to kind of stop for a little bit. Some basics of how to be accountable. First and foremost, show up, be there, do it. Obviously, that seems, it's easier said than done. But at the same time, if you aren't taking at least the basic steps to hold yourself accountable, by having the gym clothes available, by having the food that's healthier in your home, you have to be able to put forward that initial drive to at least show up and set yourself up for success. And we'll talk a little bit about accountability partners here in a minute. So with your accountability partner, especially, you're beholden to somebody else. Somebody else is relying on you. So make sure, you are showing up for them and they will show up for you. Like I said, be prepared, be present when you are committing time to your goal or to your accountability partner's goal. That make that your focus. Don't be, come single-mindedly. If it's like our accountability challenge at DLS, a lot of it is about movement and exercise. So when you are setting aside that time each day to do that, make sure that is what you are focusing on. Take that time, be true to yourself, like do yourself a favor and really be present in that time, focused on your goal. Be honest, set and keep realistic deadlines, like we talked about with the resolution setting. We all want to accomplish things a lot faster than it's really feasible sometimes. So be realistic. This is one area an accountability partner can really help you with. It's good if at least one of you is a little bit is a little bit pragmatic. Like Luke is always calling me her reality check. So like if you have somebody like that in your life, it's good, say to that person, okay, so this is what I want to do. And this is where I want to be by date X. Is this crazy? Can I do this? It's not about knocking you back and saying, no, that's insane. There's no way you can do that. It's just about keeping those goals realistic, because we all have jobs. We all have other things going on. We can't focus solely on these goals 100% of the time. So just be realistic and do yourself a favor. And follow through, especially with your partners. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you tell yourself you're going to do something for yourself, do it. Don't leave any room for negotiation on that. Just make it a priority. Like we've talked about with, setting alarms or scheduling things. If there's something that's important to you to do that you really want to be accountable for, put it on your calendar. Make it a non-negotiable part of your day. Block it out on the company calendar. If it's 10 minutes every day, block it out so people know that that's you're busy at that time. And humility, a little dose of, being humble goes a long way for all of us. We're all human. We all have setbacks. Sometimes we might set a goal that we think is realistic, and then the reality sets in, and just, roadblocks that we never anticipated coming up may get in the way of us achieving that. So, be honest with yourself in terms of what you are able to achieve and by when, and just recognize that you're doing the best that you can, as we all are. So, be kind to yourself. You want to push yourself, but also be kind enough that you're not making yourself miserable by really trying to be accountable. So now let's talk about some ways that you can actually be accountable. There's this kind of, it's not necessarily a new concept, but the way I mean, bullet journals are kind of all over like Pinterest and I don't know, it's you go on any site like healthy living or wellness or kind of pop culture website right now, and you're going to see something about bullet journals. So what those are basically are it's a way of organizing your life by consolidating pretty much anything and everything you want to keep organized and be held accountable for into one notebook. So a lot of people have planners. I mean, I've got one of like many planners right here. And I'm the worst. I have like 8 planners every day. I don't know why. It's like every different day, I feel like using a different planner, which doesn't necessarily help because then some things get lost in translation. But the idea of a bullet journal is you just have that one notebook and that is like your life. So you can put whatever you want in there it's for your just basic scheduling, your daily, what you have to do every day, reminders, your to-do lists. If you've got a project that you've been thinking about and you just want somewhere to kind of capture your brainstorming, if you can do like a mood journal if you're kind of struggling these days and you want to keep track of how you're feeling every day, and then look back and kind of track what was going on this day when I felt really bad, or what was going on this day when I was feeling good. Gratitude journal, I'm guessing Jim would be a big fan of that. So really whatever you want to put in there, if you've got like ideas and plans for the next 5 to 10 years and you just want to write them down because it helps to capture them, that's what you use a bullet journal for. So now spreadsheets, there are a million and one different types of accountability spreadsheets that you can use. I've sent some of them around. Mindy, I think it was on the random channel, Zoom chat channel this morning, sent an Excel spreadsheet that she is starting to use. There's a million different ways you can use them. You can print them out, tack them above your desk, on your fridge. They can be super simple. The one that I sent around that had like January, like JAN, and then little pieces of it for each day of the month, and then you just color it in each day where you actually completed what you have set as your goal. That's super simple. The one on the right here, the habit tracker, you just knock off a day, check it off if you've done what you want to. If you don't, then you leave it unchecked and it's a visual reminder of how you're doing. Or you can get a little more complicated with this monthly workout calendar down here, or you can get super complicated. I mean, you can track like all sorts of metrics. If you're, especially with the working out, if you want to be tracking like, how many reps you do, how many sets and reps you do of specific exercises, and how many miles and how many calories you burn. And, there's a whole lot of stuff you can track. It just depends on how detailed you want to be. I'm a fan of simplicity for this kind of thing. So just, the visual confirmation that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, just by checking off a day, that certainly helps me. But it's a personal thing. But you can go online, you can go to Google Images and search accountability tracker, habit tracker, etc., and you will get thousands of hits. And you can pick one that works for you. And most of them are free. So let's talk about the accountability partners. So there was a study, it was last year in Found Magazine. It's an entrepreneurial organization. But anyway, so these are some good stats to kind of keep in mind when you're thinking about the whole accountability partner thing, okay? So what they found was that people who set a goal and, tell themselves, my goal is to eliminate sugar from my diet. If you just by setting a goal for yourself, instead of just kind of, every once in a while saying no to a brownie or whatever, like actually setting a goal, that increases your chances of success by 6 to 8%. If you write it down for yourself and keep that, that is supposed to increase your chances of success by 25 to 30%. Verbally sharing your goal with others, so not really an accountability partner, but making sure that other people know what you are doing, that's increases it by 55 to 60%. And then having an accountability partner is said to increase your chances of success by 85% or more. So that's a pretty strong argument for finding an accountability partner. So, it doesn't have to be a DLS, certainly. But if it's, somebody you live with or a friend who you can't really see right now, but you just want to, you're trying to find a way to also keep in touch with them, you know, make them your accountability partner, whoever, just anybody you feel comfortable doing that with, having somebody there, you know, who is relying on you and who you then feel like it's a lot easier to let yourself down than it is to let other people down. So if you've got somebody who's expecting you to do something every day, you're much more likely to do it than if it's just you. So but making that partnership work, it's not, you know, it's not always a good fit. Like there might be people in your life who you love dearly and, you know, love to spend time with, but just you're not a good mesh for an accountability partnership. So you know, it's, there's no specific science to this, but in general, you probably, like if you're super type A, um, finding somebody else who's super type A may not be the best fit because you might drive each other crazy. So personality, there's a certain personality recipe there. You know, I'm not saying it won't work, but you know, just think about these things when you're looking for an accountability partner. But find somebody who has similar goals. If somebody, if a friend of yours is training hard for her first 100-mile race in June and needs to, like, you know, really an accountability partner, what they really need is a coach, but you know, to do like a really serious workout every single day, and you're looking to just, you know, go for a walk 3 to 4 times a week, which is also an awesome goal. But those are kind of different intensities of accountability partners. So find somebody who has kind of a similar goal or similar intensity. Set some specific benchmarks and check-ins. We have these Zoom chat channels for the DLS Accountability Partner Challenge, not to obligate anybody to do it, but just to give an easy way to just, you know, send a quick message. So I see people every once in a while will just be like, hey, how are you doing? Like, what's been going on? How'd you do today? Not surprisingly, Jim and Simona G are doing the best with that so far, I have to say, every single day. Jim is great at accountability, and he's very specific, which really helps. So, you know, having specific benchmarks that you both want to achieve and setting specific times, specific ways to check in with each other, that will really help you be much more successful. It doesn't have to be something that takes a lot of time. It can be as simple as a 30-second check-in once a day, or if you just want to check in every other day, but just make sure that you both know what the expectations are. Pick a tool you both can use, like the Zoom chat channel. Obviously, that's not going to work for a lot of situations, but you know, just make sure that you're both comfortable with how you are communicating. And then share both your challenges and your successes. So if you're struggling to stay accountable, you know, and you really are having a bad day, you know, talk to your partner, see what kinds of words of encouragement. Maybe they're having a bad day too, and you can commiserate, you know, misery loves company. Or maybe they are really feeling good about themselves with their challenge, and can help kind of lift you up and lift your spirits. And then be there for each other with your setbacks, because we all face them. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to rock it 100% of the time. So just make sure that, like I was talking about earlier, that you are showing up. Okay, almost done, but tools of the fitness trade. So there are a lot of different tools, like literally millions of tools you can use for accountability, but some of those for the fitness aspect of this, you know, and then there are so many different great goals out there, but we'll focus on fitness for now. But you know, we all know, of course, about Fitbits, Apple Watch, Garmin, all these different, I've got a Garmin, all sorts of different tools that range in price, range in capability, that you can use just to kind of keep track for yourself. And then the great thing about all of these tools is that they all link to online communities. So, you know, so I do some running coaching, and for people who don't live nearby, I do virtual running coaching, and so all the people that I do that with, they have these Fitbits or Garmin's, et cetera, and then, you know, it's automatically uploaded to a central database, so I can see every single thing that they did without being there with them. So you know, you can just having one of those so you can see what you do every day, and also so you can share that information. Like, you may not be a big sharer. I'm certainly not a big sharer, but there is a lot of positive to come out of joining an online community for exercise or really anything. There are online communities, online support communities for pretty much anything you can think of. So, you know, these online communities, they provide the accountability, but also just motivation and support. Sometimes just seeing the other people, either people you know, or maybe it's somebody you've never met, you know, reading their stories of their struggles, their successes. Sometimes, you know, it can be really inspirational. It can also be kind of like, oh, well, crap, that person's life, that is way worse than what I'm going through right now, and they're still managing to overcome. So a lot of inspiration. And then the online communities are great, of course, because they don't require that you're in one set place at a specific time. They're very flexible. You can just, you know, you can take part when you want to, or, you know, just peace out and ghost it for a couple of months. It doesn't matter. It's 100% on your schedule. Just some suggestions, like, so this is, I'm on Strava. I don't use it religiously. Some people do, but like I said, it links to Garmin. It links, I have it on my phone. It's a great tool for tracking mileage of, you know, running, biking, etc. And then anybody who follows me can see what I did. They can like it. They can comment on it. I see people who I'm following. If you're part of any clubs, you get to participate in club challenges. Daily Burn, that's another one. I believe it's an app as well, but it's got a whole lot of workouts that you can, full body workouts that are you can do whenever you want, but also has a lot of kind of live workouts. And it's got a great social media presence. So it's, you know, it's got that whole support system. My Fitness Pal is another one that links to all of these watches and Fitbits, etc. You can track your activity levels and your meals. Spark People is a healthy living community, again, with those fitness and weight loss programs. Kayla Itsigns, she's an Australian personal trainer. She's got this bikini body guide. I actually really like her workouts because they're very short. They're like anywhere from like 10 to 28 minutes, and they vary in intensity. But she's super active on social media. So if you follow her on like Instagram, you see it's targeted towards women mostly, but it's just like, it's a huge social media presence. So you see people's stories and people are really supportive of each other. And she has a lot of workouts on there that you can do any different time. Headspace, we've talked about that one before, but in addition to having that guidance for meditation, it also has a pretty robust online community attached to it. And that is a misspelling, but it's My Plate calorie counter from livestrong.com, Lance Armstrong's organization. But anyway, that's also one that you can really track your meals and your calories, etc. So like I said, you know, social media support, I'm typically not a huge social media person myself, and I generally encourage people to, you know, at least kind of use social media moderately, but it can also be used in a really positive, reinforcing way. So, you know, it's this whole idea of it takes a village to raise a kid. It also takes a village to really keep, you know, us adults like healthy and happy and sane, especially right now. So these are two snapshots just from, I'm on, excuse me, I'm on Instagram. I'm not overly active myself, but I do enjoy seeing these different, you know, different people, different relatively, I guess, celebrities or organizations. Like I follow a lot of running groups, etc. A lot of elite marathoners, people like that. But you know, it can be really inspirational. You can find out about things like this, you know, January weekend 5K challenge, Moms on the Run. It's a very supportive group. So it's a lot of information and kind of supportive chats about how to, you know, stay sane and keep your fitness levels up as a mom during the pandemic, etc. So it can be a really supportive tool in your accountability, but you know, just it is all about moderation. So I don't know that we have time for this, but anyway, it's just something to think about. You know, what tools are you using right now to stay accountable, and how are they working? Like what tools might be useful to use going forward? We can all use a little extra help in this area. I know, not just for fitness, but for a lot of different areas. So it's good to occasionally just stop and revisit, um, what we're using for ourselves. So, all right, and that is that.